and I have been able to literally heal my digestion on levels that I didn't think were possible. I really thought that this is just me. That was my like defeated moment. I said, this is just how I'm gonna have to live my life. I was diagnosed with IBS. I had been to several doctors. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Stella the Light, and today I'm going to be doing a video all about food combining and your questions on food combining. So food combining is basically just the idea that foods should be eaten in a certain order for proper digestion. Certain foods should and shouldn't be combined. Certain foods should be eaten in order. It's a set of guidelines, not rules, to follow to start seeing your digestion heal. So by guidelines, I mean, it's not something that you strictly need to follow, and it's very different for each person. So I'm going to get a little bit more into that later, but for now, I'm going to start by answering your questions. So I do have an entire section in my ebook that goes over exactly how I food combine, what the food combinations are, and what in general food combining is. So a basic how-to on food combining. It goes really into depth and really just shows you how to start food combining for yourself to find your own unique food combining. So with my clients, we go in, we start there, and from there we take it and I guide you into catering it to your specific digestion and what works for you, because the same thing doesn't work for everybody. First question is from Egly, and she said, I eat intuitively and plant-based, but am not as lean as I'd like to be. Could food combining help? So it definitely can. If you're improperly food combining, you're probably having really bad digestion, and those two paired in each other will give you bloat, inflammation, water retention, which can make you feel puffier, and then in turn mental health deteriorates. You might eat a little bit less healthy, you might overeat a little bit or undereat a little bit, which then causes you to overeat. So it's a whole plethora. Intuitive eating, a big thing is food combining for yourself. So intuitive eating is the idea that you follow what your heart tells you to eat, and what you kind of connect your mind and your heart. Like, I know that my body thrives off of this. I know this is healthy. I know this is what makes me feel my best. These kinds of foods, these food combinations, and so I'm going to try my best to follow that and intuitively follow my gut instincts, both heart and mind. This way your digestion aligns, your satiation aligns, you enjoy your food, you're not following some strict plan or anything that says you have to eat this, this, and this, and it hurts your stomach, you don't really enjoy the foods, and you're undereating or overeating or whatever it might be. So Allison Brooke says, afraid to eat whole fats, but I binge them anyways. Are you sure it's not just that you have a better gene? So I think she means that I can eat plant fats because I have better genes. You can eat plant fats as well. Everybody needs to eat plant fats. So what's happening is a clear binge restrict cycle. So you are restricting fats because you're afraid of them and then binging out on them. It would happen if you did it with carbs. It would happen if you did it with food in general. So you're under eating, especially under eating fats, and therefore your body is reaching for those. As soon as you see them, you're like, that's it, I need that, and then you end up binging out. So it's just that binge restrict cycle. It's easy to undo that literally simply by, so if you start eating nuts and seeds and avocado and coconut and all different whole plant fats and including those in your diet, and with every single meal, every single snack, you will slowly heal your relationship with fats. It's not going to happen right away, but you're going to feel a whole lot better, and you're going to drop that mentality of, I could eat a whole jar of peanut butter right now, which we all know it either happens with whole plant fats or you end up wanting junk food. So Weight EE asks, can you also include timing of food? If you eat fruit, how long to wait? So there is no specific time frame to wait between meals or to wait between foods. It really is down to how you digest the foods and what works best for you. So some people can have a huge bowl of oatmeal or potatoes or a rice-based dish, and then directly on top drink a smoothie or have oranges or bananas or whatever it is, and their digestion feels fine. Some cannot, and either have to wait a certain amount of time between the two for them to digest properly, or what also people need to do is align them. So starting with fruits first and then going down to starches and not throwing fruit on top of starch. That's a big one that does tend to happen to a lot of people, especially with more acidic fruits. So sometimes bananas and sweeter fruits are okay to mix in with your oatmeal, cook in with your baked goods, and you digest that fine, but sometimes more sour, acidic fruits tend to be harder to digest, and definitely melon is very water dense. So what happens is, carbohydrates from fruits and carbohydrates from starch are two different things, and starch digests slower. I'm having a hard time saying the word digests. Starch digests a lot slower, whereas fruit carbohydrates digest a lot quicker. So what happens is you eat your starch, and then it's slowly digesting, and you throw on top that fruit. And what happens is it starts to digest very quickly, putting the starch on the back burner, and then fermentation starts to begin, and that's when gas starts, and just things get thrown all over, and it ends up wrecking your entire day. So it won't hit you right away, but within an hour or two is when you would probably see that bloat and digestion come into play. So keeping that in mind, just know that each person is unique and there's no one set schedule for everyone. Louis Saint asks, would typical food combining techniques work for breastfeeding postpartum mama? Definitely. There's no one type of person that intuitive eating or food combining works for. I think everyone should be food combining for themselves. I think that's where a lot of digestion issues come into play. I think a lot of people don't realize just how much food combining does affect that. So if you're food combining properly, you might be able to diminish almost all of your digestion issues, and then finding what trigger foods you have and what trigger combinations you have and what does work for you and doesn't work for you. I know I keep saying that, but it is a very trial and error process. One that if you end up doing coaching with me, we go through that. If digestion healing is one of your goals and food combining is one of your goals. If you have great digestion, don't even pay attention. You're fine. Move along. Move on to your next pain point. If you do have digestion issues, the first thing I always look at is food combining, because it most likely stems directly from that. Okay, next question. Mon Flam asks, do you take a probiotic supplement or do you use food as your pre and probiotic? So I first do want to say that I believe wholeheartedly in probiotics. I think that they're amazing as long as you get a reputable brand. But my biggest tip is to start with healthy plant-based eating. So on top of healthy, wholesome plant-based eating fiber-rich prebiotics, which then help your gut to promote their own probiotics, you can implement a safe, effective probiotic, one that has strains that stay alive. So I just got the probiotic that I have been using. I've been using this for about 2 months now. They did send me this for free a while ago, and that's when I started using it. I just had heard amazing things about it. I saw it on another YouTuber's channel, and then they agreed to sponsor this video. So thank you, LifeSpace, for sponsoring this video. So I decided on the B420 probiotic. So this one supports digestive system health and the digestion of nutrients, maintains healthy intestinal flora, and it basically helps a lot with your microbiome as well as your metabolism, which then affects your energy levels, your digestion, how you're sleeping, all different factors in your life. I suffered from digestion issues for years and years, and I knew nothing about the gut microbiome. I knew nothing about probiotics, prebiotics, fiber, and none of it. I knew nothing, and I thought something's just wrong with my stomach. I was diagnosed with IBS, which is a very broad, blanketed term that doctors like to use when they don't really know what's wrong with your stomach. I hate it. I hate the term IBS. Irritable bowel syndrome. Yes, I know that my bowels are irritated. Can you help me? There was no help. I also didn't know that it could affect your weight and your energy levels, so that was something that I had to dive into and learn the hard way when I was out of control with my energy and my weight. So what's really important is to make sure that your probiotic is live. So this has a live guarantee, basically. So not all companies do that, which I think is a shame. And other companies like to use this term probiotic blend, which basically means it's crappy probiotics that they blend in with other fillers and unnatural things. And it's just nonsense. So you don't ever want to go for a brand that says a probiotic blend. You want to make sure that you get that live bacteria guarantee, because if not, then you're most likely eating dead bacteria and it's doing nothing for you. So for the B420, they use this specific strain that only they use in their products, which is amazing. I cannot pronounce it, but I will pop it up on the screen here for you guys. I literally can't even pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. So this one is specifically for metabolism and energy, which is really great. But they have a whole line of probiotics that cover ages 0 to 60 plus, I think. So if no matter what age you are or what stage of life you're in, they're going to have a probiotic that caters to whatever season of life that you're in. So yes, if you're eating a fiber-rich plant-based diet already, that's great. You'll get those prebiotics to then turn into probiotics. But if you want to add on top of that a potent probiotic, just make sure that you do your background research on it and pick the right one, because they are quite expensive sometimes, so it's good to know that you're getting actual live bacteria. If you're interested in trying LifeSpace probiotics, you can click the link down in the description of this video and use this code right here for 10% off. Okay, so Cooking with Gail says, I find this topic of food combining so confusing, which I totally understand, because when I first heard about it, I was like, what the hell does this even mean, food combining? How do I simplify it in my plant-based diet? So if you're already eating plant-based, you simply have to take a look, and what I would do is start writing down a diary of your food every day and just pointing out when you're getting digestion issues. So basically what I would do is start out with the basis of food combining and do it very strictly. So those guidelines that I was talking about that are listed in my ebook, you will want to follow those like to a T for the first 2 weeks. I would say at least the first 10 days to get yourself to a base point is what I like to call it with my clients. So we follow that base point, I get you to when you're feeling good in your digestion, and then we start adding different things in, trialing in and out things, and I make sure that in the food diaries that my clients are sending me, they always include when digestion issues come into play. So if you eat something for breakfast, let me know along the day if your digestion starts hurting, so that way I can say, hey, it looks like you're food combining this improperly. Let's try to flip it, switch it to something else, and see if your digestion does better. So through the month long of coaching that we do, you end up at the end of it knowing what your trigger food combinations and what your trigger foods are and what really, really works for your stomach. So, you know, things are ebbing and flowing as your life changes, but you will generally know, okay, this is what I can eat to make my digestion feel good, and this is what I have to avoid. And that is a part of intuitive eating, is just following like the general knowledge of, I know that this is going to hurt my stomach, so I'm just going to choose to eat this instead. Sometimes it's a little tough, not all the time though, and luckily we have hundreds of recipes and hundreds of wholesome plant-based meals that you can eat that are going to be delicious no matter what food combining you do or don't have to follow. So I got a lot of questions of what I personally do for food combining. So I have always had really touchy digestion since forever, since before I even started dieting, since before I wrecked my digestion with that. So I still do follow pretty clear food combining rules, but not all the time. I can mix a lot of fruits in with certain starches. I do like to keep like smoothies and heavy fruit-based meals earlier in the day and before I have any heavy starch meals. Most of the time, I don't do it all the time. I have several trigger combinations of foods that hurt my stomach and several trigger foods that I like to steer clear from. And I have been able to literally heal my digestion on levels that I didn't think were possible. I really thought that this is just me. That was my like defeated moment. I said, this is just how I'm gonna have to live my life. I was diagnosed with IBS. I had been to several doctors, all different types of doctors, endocrinologists, gastro doctors, and nobody was giving me any answers. I got a few prescriptions, was not into that, and then I found plant-based, and I was like, wow, my stomach feels absolutely amazing. So that's, I mean, I don't have an exact outline of what I do and don't follow, but I have the general know-how now that I've been doing this for 8 years. And I have never had better digestion, and that is one thing that I know affects my mental health and my physical health more than I ever thought it did. I really didn't understand, again, the gut microbiome. They say that the gut is your second brain, and it truly is. Okay, so this person said that they had their gallbladder out and their gut and flora is messed up, reflux and etc. What should I eat? So I know for gallbladder removal, you need to avoid heavy fried foods, refined foods, which luckily you avoid all of that on a plant-based diet. So I would really just aim for a plant-based diet, avoiding very acidic foods, so maybe avoiding like tomatoes and citrus, things like that that would start that reflux if you have really bad reflux, and sticking to proper food combining is super important for you, and again, just avoiding fried heavy foods, refined oils, refined sugars, caffeine I know can be extremely hard on people with gallbladder issues, so just avoiding those big acidic trigger foods and sticking with a lot of alkaline plant foods would be your best idea. Okay, Turnip the Beet said reintroducing fruits and vegetables after having the Rona. Oh, okay. Did not get that at first. The last thing you crave. So I actually did have the virus when I was about 35, 36, 37, something around there. I was very late in my pregnancy, and I ate extremely healthy during that time. I'm not sure, maybe when you get sick, you stopped eating fruits and vegetables. I would say what you should do is just remember next time you get sick to really push for those, because you do not want to be eating junk when you're sick. You want to be eating as healthy as possible. You want to be getting good rest. You want to be hydrating like crazy. Really stick to those things and it'll make it a lot easier. If you are struggling with eating fruits and vegetables, I would say implement them in smoothies. So you can make a chocolate peanut butter delicious smoothie and just throw in some vegetables. You could throw in spinach or other dark leafy greens, which are so important. You could throw in some zucchini in there. You might not notice that. Some very bland things. Making soups. Soups are really great, super flavorful. You can make like a chili or a burrito soup or a chickpea noodle soup. I have several up on my blog, and then there's some in my ebook as well. Fruits, of course, are easy. You can make banana ice cream. I personally think that banana ice cream would be a great way for you to juice a lot more fruits. So you can just, do the base of bananas, do some coconut milk to make it extra creamy, and then add in cherries or blueberries or, whatever fruits that you want. And that would be a really great way to introduce it and feel like you're eating soft serve ice cream. To end this video, I just want to let you know that food combining, while it is something that is so important, it is not meant to be a set of strict rules. I just always want people to know that each individual is so unique, and food combining can be super important to one person and not important at all to another. If you're having digestion issues, I would look heavily into your food combining, because that is probably where you're holding a lot of that digestive stress. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video there. Icarus is due to wake up from his nap in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comments. I will answer any and every question that you have. If you're interested in going plant-based and learning all about intuitive eating and food combining, you can visit my website, stellathelite.com, and hit the contact me button and tell me your story. What are your goals in health? What are you currently struggling with? And I will get you started.